Good evening, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the magnet of Celtic Park. This is a ground I've always wanted to come to watch a game of football, and I finally managed it after a fair amount of attempts. And it did, for a long period, it looked like it was going to be a bit ropey as to whether I would actually get in. But I managed it. And what did I get to see? I got to see a 2-0 defeat to Norwich City here. To the Scottish champions. They did win it last year, didn't they? Norwich media team busy working there. And look, Hodgie, taking a chill. Feel for him today because his commentary didn't get to go out, I don't think. So, but he will be commentating on Hibernian, which is tomorrow, because of course this is a double header. So if any of you were thinking, not sure about that 11 that Dean Smith picked today, well, he's trying to balance everyone getting 90 minutes over the course of this weekend, a double header, and it's his idea. He's done this in his management job in recent seasons because he likes all his players to get those 2 games. So if you're sort of questioning anything in terms of the match selection today, well don't, because it will be part of a way of getting 2 teams out over the 2 games to get all the possible minutes, but also be balanced enough to compete obviously in both games at face value. And again, you know, you can read lots of things into these pre-season games. I would have, if I'd done a video after Marseille, I would have said it after Marseille when of course Norwich won 3-0. But likewise, I'll say it given they've lost 2-0 here. There's only so much you can read into these games. It's just fiddly, and ultimately it's just filling the air until we kick off in the Championship, when we can really start assessing, and I only mean start assessing, how things are going to look. That said, Norwich have lost here 2-0. Celtic are a good team. This was, for my money, the most competitive game they've played in pre-season, and by a distance. Being here, 30,000 fans odd, the intensity in the way Celtic play created that. Celtic played knowing that, you know, they can't lose a game here, any game here, but include a friendly home to Norwich. They actually drew here 2-2 with Blackburn last weekend, having been 1-0 down and 2-1 up. So that is a bit of context. I haven't really seen any of that game, so I can't compare. But yeah, there was definite the way Celtic were going about it, you know, the intensity. They are really fluid going forwards. They play some lovely football. They're quite creative, but also maybe made a poor decision once or twice in that final third with the wrong ball, a bit sloppy in possession. That could be pre-season things. It could also be the fact that what I also felt is that all over the pitch they could take risks and know that even if they take a pretty stupid risk, they will get away with it, because most weeks in the Scottish Premier League or Premiership, they will get away with that. You know, they will. It doesn't matter, because they'll be able to cover themselves. Even if they concede, they'll probably go and score a couple. So I think you could sense that in how they play, even though they're a good side with good players and well coached, and you know, as a better side than probably any team Norwich come up against, unless there's a team that really starts to kick on towards promotion above them next season. So really interesting test. Norwich had to dig in. I thought they defended pretty well in the first half. I thought Sam McCallum had a pretty tough afternoon of it against Jota, who looked a very tidy player. There's some lovely movement from the Celtic forward line that Norwich had to monitor. As I said, it's a pretty strong line. We had Krul played most of the game. Andrew Mbemedeli just looked so cool and calm in any sort of situation. He was good, and that could be useful because Grant Hanley didn't play the second half. I think he had an ankle injury. He went down late in the first. That will be a concern going into the start of the season, obviously. Jakob Sørensen came in and did well in the second half as a right-sided centre-back. Interesting in that situation that it's Andrew who moved from the left side to Grant, to the opposite, from the right side of Grant to the left side of Jakob. And Norwich played, I think, a formation that they will probably try and play quite a bit, which is a sort of a 4-3-3, but it is quite... It does merge into a 4-1-4-1, really, but it allows also a sort of a 4-5-1 without the ball. That can leave Teemu looking quite isolated. It puts a lot of emphasis on the 2 wide players to get up and support quite quickly. And Norwich did have their chances. There were 1 or 2 really slick counters, but they were quite sporadic, infrequent, and generally again, I still kind of worry a little bit at the moment about how Norwich are trying to score goals. It was a bit familiar from last year, and that pattern hasn't really developed yet. It's again, you can't read too much into it at the moment, but you want to see better from them really once the competitive stuff starts. And also, I suppose I want to see a bit better of it again, be at Celtic's level. There were some good Todd Campbell had some good moments, also some not so good moments. Likewise, Daniel Sinani, who was quiet for periods, and then when he came to life, you can see he's a proper outlet. Josh Sargent continues to work really hard, and I think that physicality he brings is useful, but sometimes that quality just hasn't been there yet, and maybe that's a confidence issue too. I think if he's someone who does what he did in Bundesliga 2 maybe last year and scored a couple of goals in his first game, then that could fire him up in the Championship definitely. Return for Teemu Pukki to Celtic. He got a really warm reception from the PA and from the crowd, and I think that covers off most of the real points here. We'll see what the 11 looks like for Hibernian tomorrow. A great atmosphere on the most part, a constant noise, especially driven by these say standing corner over there. But pre-season friendly too, and having a drum and those sort of continuous chants are one thing, but having an actual crowd drive you on sounds different. It wasn't always like that in there, but it wouldn't be, would it? Because it's a pre-season game. But really interesting game, really interesting challenge. I don't really view Norwich. One slight issue I have is that today and Marseille are two games where I don't see Norwich having that challenge very often in the Championship of, being sort of worked, really high pressed by a team with great movement going forward. So I guess you're sort of high gearing coming up against really, big, difficult teams. But then by the same token, it's like, how are Norwich going to do when they're the ones charged with making all of the running? That will be very interesting to see how they handle that situation when it comes along in the Championship, which will be week in, week out, because again, that almost puts a greater emphasis on how are they going to break the teams down. And that's when you start thinking, well, if your best moments at the moment are coming on sporadic counters, you might not get many of those. We'll have to see. But that's where we are. Part 1 of this Scottish weekend done. Yes, Easter Road tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. I'll do another video after that. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Have a lovely Saturday wherever you are. It will, I guarantee you, probably be hotter than here, where it's 18 degrees. It's been raining most of the day, and I haven't even brought a coat with me this weekend. More fool me. I was like, Scotland? I know it's Scotland, but it's the summer. I'll be all right without a coat. So lucky I brought a jumper. So there we go. Take care of yourselves. Have fun. And I will see you, tomorrow. What a bonus, eh? 2 of these videos in 2 days. Scenes. I'll leave you with Celtic Park. Good night to you all.